Yeah, thank you. I'm John J. Brooke. I'm a recovered alcoholic addict who fully conceded to his innermost self on the 11th of the 1st, 2000s. I sit before you today with 7,739 days of continuous sobriety, a day at a time. I didn't do this by I did this by we. And for those in the rehab, welcome. The miracle's already happening. Stay. Don't go back out. Don't listen to all that keep coming back malarkey. Stay. Because the revolving door might not let you back in another time. And I know I'm going to speak from my heart today because two of my fellows aren't here to tell today. I ain't be able to tell nothing because they're brown bread. So here's for Tommy and Nathan, a week between them. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who've recovered from a seamless, hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how recovered is the main purpose of this book. Alcoholics Anonymous gives me the way from out from under, you know, and because I get a bit over passionate and a bit overzealous, I always try and connect on page 63, which is God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thy will. Relieve me from the bondage of self that I better do thy will. Take away the difficulties that victor over them and bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, thy love and thy way of life may I do thy will always. That's me out the way then. So I'm just used as a channel of God's peace. I'm just the receiver. And as I always read that, I get goose pimples so I know his presence here. You know, 21 years thereabouts, 2 months, 3 months, it really matters not. You know, the reality is that when I first come in, I was utterly disgusted, busted and broke. I was bankrupt. You know, and just before I sort of talk about that, you know, I always speak from the heart. You know, for my qualification and understanding in an AA meeting, I believe I left my drinking to the bare necessity, and I didn't start graduating until I was 8. So my first alcoholic drink was when I was 8, and I was always memorised, and it was like a dream, if you like, a mirage, whatever you want to call it. As soon as the drinks cabinet came down, everything changed instantaneously, and that was before I even put one in me. You know, we talk about irritable, restless, discontent. I class it in the 21st century in today's turn. You know, I was always pissed off, upset, never grateful, and never satisfied. You know, don't matter what you give me, it's never enough. And that started before I even put a drink in me. But the reason I drank, well, I picked up that alcoholic drink when I was 8 because of the circumstances I was in. You know, and that didn't make me an alcoholic without a shadow of a doubt. I don't go into the whys, the whats. Was I born with it? Was it in my DNA? Was it my nature? Was it this? The fact is that I know who I am today, and that's what counts, because that's all I have is a day at a time, contingent on what I do here and do out there, but not what I say, because it's an action program. There's a wonderful passage in the big book that talks about into action, not into thinking. You know, one of the world's, you know, sorry, I'm going to F-bomb and that, but that's how I speak. And if it offends you, here's a pen, go and do a step 4 on it. If you've done a 4, put it in your 10. You know, the reality is that for years, I always believed and always thought that my best thinking was the best idea. You know, I have a head on my shoulders that tells me lies, and I take actions based on them lies, and I take no responsibility for it. You know, because of the circumstances I was in, I had you know, I'm a youngest of 3 children. I've got 2 older sisters. I've got an adorable mum, and at that time, when I was 8, my mum had a sick one of us, but she didn't know, because we're very clever at masking who we are, aren't we? We put lots of masks on, and he was a chronic alcoholic, God bless his soul, you know, and he was the first man that I began to trust as a father figure, if you want. So I didn't grow up without a dad, and he was the only man that I could foresee as a father figure, because he was with my mum. It was all fantastic, it was all beautiful at first, but then over a period of time, whatever that time was, I used to hear screaming and shouting. It used to wake me up at night, and broken glass, and it was always alcohol involved, you know, and this was before I was 8. But what I'm saying is that my mum was she's a class, I love her to pieces, and the only way to describe her for you guys to understand, she is Miss Bouquet. She'll puff up a cushion as we're walking out the front door, which I don't figure. I just don't get that. No one's coming in, Mum. Why are you doing that to a pillar? It doesn't matter. Let's go shopping. You know, from a very early age, you know, we had new carpet. Money was tight. You have new carpet, and she put that plastic stuff. Well, if it turned upside down, it was like walking an acupuncture. She went, ow, ooh, ooh. And we had a best room, and that best room had the drinks cabinet in. And, you know, I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. And, you know, wherever I walked, my mum was behind me with a carpet sweeper cleaning up the shit. There was no shit because it was the emotional shit that was there. So, you know, if I sort of fast forward, the reason I picked up that drink is because I was maladjusted to life. I was full of fear because I used to wet the bed because of the fear. I used to think it was me because I'm self-obsessed. Even at 8, you know, it's always about me. And around that time, my stepfather used to come into my bedroom and try to sexually interfere with me. And I knew at 8 that it was wrong because I was a bit wise because I had 2 older sisters. So I'd crawl up into the fetal position. He'd put a blanket or he'd put a pillow over me and beat me. So from 8 to 12, I never knew about that. So I went into them drinks cabinet and I drank. And the best thing I can describe that in today's world is the Popeye effect. You know, Popeye had spinach. John Jay, didn't matter what it was. When I put that drink to my mouth and swallowed, I detested the taste. But as soon as it went down my throat and into my stomach, that warm feeling, it was bim, bang, bomb. Here we go. You can do whatever you want to me because I don't care. And I like that effect produced, as it says in this wonderful book. I love the effects produced by alcohol because alcohol does exactly what it says on the tin for me. It gives me a sense of ease and comfort at once, you know, and that continued through my drinking career. You know, off and on, off and on. It's not how much you use, it's why you're doing it, in my understanding. You know, it doesn't matter about the amounts. It just matters why I was doing it. And the reality of that is I was maladjusted. I was full flight from reality. I didn't want to be in. And what I can be honest with, I wanted to be older. Because if I was older, the things that were happening in my house wouldn't have happened because I could have been a man. So I'm a boy wanting to be a man. So I'm in fantasy world and I'm drinking. I weren't very good at school. I was bullied at school and that's a whole new chapter, but we won't go there. But the reality is, it's not normal for a 12-year-old young boy to be on his BMX bike one day and then putting his BMX bike in the shed and never touching it again. That was my childhood finished, period. So that's when I went into the adult world because at 12 years old, I thought, well, if I was a man, then the things like that couldn't happen to my mum. You know, the beating started being worse. My mum had black eyes. You know, it was domestic abuse and I was living in that environment and it weren't right. And I hated it, and I really did hate it. But every time I drank, it just fizzled away. It didn't matter. You know, and then he must have been a bit of a slow one, but he realised that I was drinking his drink. And God, did I get a beating that night. And that was the night, the next day I told my mum what was happening because for a lot of years, I don't know if you can relate to this, a lot of people used to say, what is wrong with you at school? My nan, my uncles, my aunts, what is wrong with you? You can't sit still. Because I was like, you got ants in your pants, you know, because I was irritable, restless, discontent. I didn't know this. I just, you know. And when I had a drink, I got that, and you must be able to relate, I got that. Hold on, I'll do it like this. This is a cup of tea, just to let you know. That's the effect that alcohol gives me. That sense of ease and comfort at once. Everything slows down, everything feels like... So it's my medication, if you like. And it worked for so long. All right, and if I fast forward, you know... and the reality is, it's not great. You know, I was brought up with violence. I was brought up hearing it, seeing it, and having petrified feelings around it. And You know, when I was 16, I'd left school. Sorry, at school I'd left 15, and I'd started on a building site, and my mum had finished with him, and he'd gone to a street drinker, and he used to insult my mum in the street and call her the C words, and you know, it's a petrifier. He'd been around my house and kicked the door in and stuff like that. The police would come around, never do anything, so I resented the police because they never helped. So I had an anti-establishment, anti-police, everything. There's no one ever helped us. And now I'm at work, and I walk through this, I don't know, back street alley, and he was there in the street drinking his can of lager, and the rage that just went through me, it was just instantaneous. I wanted to kill him. It was all that rage from them years. And I'm not proud of it. I battered him and put him in intensive care. And at that moment, I thought I'd come alive. It was that moment that I'd become to something I didn't want to be. I had his blood on my hands, and I was foaming at the mouth. I turned into an animal. I turned into what he didn't. And that was that self-hatred, that self-preservation just disappeared. My self-worth just dropped. The adrenaline was buzzing, but that didn't last for a long time. And then the drinking really did kick off. And I couldn't hold a job down because I hated me. I'd become what I didn't want. And, you know, I respect AA, and I know this is AA, but I did do other mood altering chemicals, but we won't go there. We'll talk about alcohol because it was my lover, my best friend. It was everything because it was always there, and it was always concurrent through my drink and drugging. Always. Ironic, I ended up in a pub being a landlord, innit, having my own fucking pub. It was great. I had arrived. No, it was at the end, you know. But the circumstance of why I am who I am, it doesn't matter. The reality is I know who I am today. So, you know, I hate talking about this because it makes me cringe. There isn't anyone in this room or in the treatment centre that doesn't know about drinking or drugging, or we wouldn't be here. That's why I say the miracle's happening. It's here. This is as good as it gets. You know, because it's a damn sight better than where we've been from, where we've come from, you know. It's just shit. And I ended up in jail. You know, not clever, not great. And it was my first time I ever detoxed from my substances for 20 odd years. And it nearly killed me. I saw, you know, I did LSD back in the day, and I thought I was having a good time. I didn't do anything in prison. I was detoxing from alcohol, and I saw things on my prison wall I never want to see again in my life. Spiders as big as the room. You know, scaring me. So when I was in prison, I decided that I was going to kill myself and do it the right way, but I had a moment of clarity, I suppose. Knew I didn't really want to do it, and couldn't do it. And the reality is that I spoke to this chap. It was a part of the listening scheme, which is the Samaritans in prison, and I owe my life to that man today because we had a long chat. And honestly, 2 hours of me talking about myself, seeking selfish individual, putting Jay's life, do you know what I mean? Snot, crying, you know, the big puffy eyes like a frog. You know, you feel sorry for me if you had a life like me. I don't want to live. Oh, it's boring. And in that moment, of that 2.5 hour, 3 hour chat in that cell, I looked at him, and it was the first man I looked in the eye, and I said, what are you in here for? And he went, murder. And I went, shit. Talking to a murderer. And I said, well, how did that happen then? And he told me a bit about himself, and he was in a pub brawl. And he punched someone, and he died. He was the last person to punch him in this pub brawl, and he was the one getting done for the murder. And I could relate to that so much. The amount of fights I've had in pubs. You know, someone just looking at you. You know, you walk in the pub, happy, joyous and free. Yeah, how are you? I'm fine. Give me a pint of bitter and twisted. Bosh. 2-3 pints, I'm crying in my beer because my life's terrible. Because alcohol's a depressant, isn't it? The more you drink, the lower you go. Because it stopped working. I didn't know that. I just kept putting more and more in me. So, you know, when I was in jail and I didn't have any, the fog's cleared, and I actually spoke to this bloke, and something just happened. And then he said, you know, have you thought about doing this course or that course? And I went, yeah, I'll do whatever. And the chain of events that happened was God. Had to be God. It wasn't having to do with me, and it wasn't having to do with you. It was God working in my world. And a chain of events that happened put me into a treatment centre within the prison. And I got down and dirty and got honest. But I got honest to impress you guys. And I got a rewrite of a life story. And I had to write who I really was. And I didn't know who I was lost. So I got this wonderful thing called a pen. And I started writing down in 5-year modules who I was and what had happened. And once I started, I couldn't stop. And I had calluses on my finger because the way I used to hold my pen so tight. Just wanted to get it out. And I read it to my group of men. And halfway through my reading it out, my counsellor stood there and she put her hand on my wrist. And I'm like that, hiding behind it because I don't want you looking at me, because men don't cry, do they? Because that's the perception I had. Men don't cry. Well, we have the same emotions as you ladies and we can cry just as much as you. It doesn't make us any less manly. But that's the perception I had. And she put my hand down and it just boom. And there was 4 other men crying in my room, in my group, and something snapped. And it was like a big penny, and I put it in my wallet. And then I started getting lots of pennies, and that was part of my recovery. And I started, I embarked on a journey of step 1. I didn't really need much waking up for that. Step 1, lack of power is my dilemma. Step 1, powerless, unmanageable. I'm in prison. Hello? No shit, Sherlock. His game's over. So that was a really, really easy one for me. But I had to seek a power, and that was hard at first. Once someone described it. And step 2, am I willing to believe in a power greater than me? Well, that was a really difficult one because I actually thought I was a god. That's how deluded I was. I am God. Do you not know who I think I am? Once I got out of the way and I realised that it's a spiritual, not a religious one. And for those that are religious, crack on. And I've got no opinion on that. But spirituality is where I'm at. And a God of my understanding, I understand is a concept of what has always been taught to me. Religion is for people scared of going to hell. Spirituality is for people who's already been there. I know my hell. I did it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm no longer in it. And it was described to me as get out of the driving seat, John. Stop driving the bus, because every time you drive the bus, it crashes. So get out the truck. Sit in the back, sit in the middle, enjoy the journey, but stop driving. And I was like, okay, so that's what I did. And as soon as I got in the back seat of the car, for instance, not the bus, as soon as I got in there, I wanted to jump in the front and take control again, because I'm a control freak, can I? I want to be in control. I want to drive and then crash. I've got lots of experience of that. So I went, okay, thy will be done, not mine. And it was amazing. And once I did that, that was a springboard to accept that there is a power in 3. So 1, 2 and 3 was given to me. I can't, he can, let him. Wow, yeah, hands off. What are you going to give to me? And I was resolutely told I had to turn to God in 3. Not hand. It says turn in the step. Turn. So I turn my will and my life over to the care of God, which springs me into 4. I had to pick up a pen and get down to fact finding. I have to get down to cause and condition of who I am. I'm a liar. I'm a cheat. I'm an embezzler. I'm a rapist. I'm all the things that I never believed. I don't mean rape in the film. I will rape. I'm a leech. I will take women hostage, men hostage. I will draw everything from you, and when I'm done with you, I'll spit you out and move on to the next victim, because that's who I am when I'm in full flight from reality. Because I need what I need. Because I'm sick. So once I got down to cause and condition, I realised that when I looked at my paper of my 4, I didn't like it, guys. I was like, I don't want to be around that person. That's me. No wonder no one wanted to be around me. Because, it started off fun with lots of people, then started up being consequential with people that drank and did things like I did, and it became very lonely and destitute on my own. Drinking can after can after can. I'm one of them alcoholics that would put a cigarette out of the fag, put the fag out in the can from the night before, make sure it was out, collapse, comatose, wake up, go, I know there's a fag in there, but that's got to get me started, and then sieve it through my teeth just to get started again. That's the sort of alcoholic I am. So, when I looked at 4, I looked at who I am, I go to God and another human being and the exact nature of my wrongs, and I share that stuff, and I get a list of defects of character. Wow! I was a defect looking for a character, period. I'd be whatever thing you want me to be. I'll come a chameleon. I was always just what you wanted me to be. I didn't know who I was. So, you know, I get my list of defects of character, and I go to God, and I humble myself by saying, you take me bad, ugly, indifferent. I am who I am. I'm willing to change. And I'll change by action, not by words. Like Dr. Bob says, if you have to use words, then please do. And then 7, 8, I go back to my 4, and I look at the list of people I'd harmed. I go out and make restitution. And I don't go out and say sorry, because I've said that a billion times. I go out and I make restitution. I stand in a position of neutrality, safe and protected, and I look at what the harm I've done, and I'm willing to make amends and restitution for that. Which is hard, because my spiritual advisor's a bit of a sick bunny. He said, right, it's 3 pages. There's the pages that you're going to make an amends. There's a page that you're not too sure, and there's a page that you don't want to make amends. It's like, sorted. You know, the list that I didn't want to make amends was bigger than all the others, which he knew, clearly. He didn't tell me, the bastard, loving the pieces, you know, and he sat there with 3 pieces about it. He said, oh, this is the one you don't want. I said, yeah. He said, which one out of these do you not want to make amends? Which one's that scares you the most? Me being dumb, thick and stupid, he went, that one. He went, that's the one you're doing first. My ass did that. I call it the starfish. I'm not doing it. And he went, hang on. I forgot to mention this. In my old big book, my sponsor told me the first page of the big book is the most important. You know why? It's blank. You know why it's blank? Because that's how much you think you fucking know. Do you want to know some more? Let's go. But what he got me to do is sign on there my clean date and a contract that I'm willing to go to any lengths. So when I got to this page and I said I'm not too keen and not wanting to do it, he said to me, hang on, big book, did you not sign it and date it that you're willing to go any lengths? I went, yeah. He went, shut the fuck up and go and do it then. Oh, no. None of that self-pity, go do. And I went and did it, and do you know something magical happened? The thing I feared the worst came like a lot of things. What my thinking's impaired, it's insane. My head tells me lies. I say, and the reaction I had was nothing compared to what I thought it was. It was magical. The bloke that I was scared and so full of fear. And he put his arms around me and he went, whatever you've done or whatever you're doing, continue doing it, because the man that sits before me isn't the man that was. And I say that now, goosebumps, as I did then. Something magical had happened, blew my mind. And that floored it. I just went out and did them all. And I came back exhausted. And he went, right, Johnny J, now we're going to go into the action steps. I says, what have I just done? 1 to 9? What more action could I do? He went, 10. That's the action step. You don't have to do 1 to 9 again. Take personal inventory when you're wrong, promptly admit it. Was you selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, afraid? Did you keep saying to yourself, which you need to discuss at once with another? So, oh, shit. And he said, no, be waiting to the end of the night, because that'll give you an excuse and that will trick you. He said, throughout your day. And that's what I've done for 21 years. Throughout my day, I've done personal inventory throughout my day. You know, and I'll apologise to you for swearing, but, you know, that's how I speak. And if that offends you, here's a pen. I'll post it to you. But, you know, then 11's back to God, prayer and meditation. You know, that's what this is about. Me, God and you. Because I can't do this on my own. And, you know, for those in the rehab, you might need to write this down. Page 88, line 8. It's one of my beautiful things. Go to this book, go page 88, 2 fat ladies, do 8 lines down and read what that says. Because that's the truth. You know, if you're in rehab, you've got a fucking opportunity that's so vast. What's on offer here is priceless. You know, so 11 is about prayer and meditation. If I'm asking, I better be listening. My conscious contact with God and my understanding has to be paramount. I'm here to do his work and perform his work well. He is my agent. I am his, he is my father and I am his child. So I have to listen. I have to listen for clear-cut directions. And sometimes they come through people I don't want to listen to. That's okay. And then 12 is carrying the message with depth and weight, which I hope I've done. Because that's all we have here. You know? Don't listen to what's inside your head. The problem centres between your ears. That's why we come here, because the problem centres between our ears. You know? The check-up from the neck up. It's here. You know, we can't have the obsession of mind, we can't have a head transplant, and we can't have a body transplant. The obsession is, once you think about it, you're off and running. And once you start that obsession off, you can't stand on the bottom of a fucking mountain going, I'm going to stop the avalanche. It's going to beat you. It's more powerful, and that's what this illness is. And if you sort out the head, then the body starts, doesn't it? An allergic reaction. Once you put it in, you can't stop. So you've got a problem. A twofold illness, a head and a body. And people say it's a threefold, the spiritual one. Well, you know, my spiritual one was doing that on the optics. That's about as spiritual as I'd get. You know, because I was a distinguished drinker, you know. I used to drink Dimple whiskey, a 20-year malt, because I thought I was, something that I wasn't. But it got me here. And a day at a time, I don't have to drink and use. Ever. A day at a time. And if you struggle, the reason you struggle is because you're not being honest. Because that's the integrity of this program. It's the first principle of all our steps. Honesty. It all piles about it. So dig your foundation, make sure it's strong. Put in as much effort as who said, who read it? I can't remember her name now. The person that read the speaker's choice. Go about this with half as zeal as you did in the habit you drank in, and your Heavenly Father will never let you down. Thank you for letting me share. If no one's told you today I love you, I do.
Thanks, John J. That's brilliant to hear you. And thanks for coming over to share. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna open up the research. He's grinning away or something. He's enjoying to thinking. I was just gonna say actually that because we've got our group conscience, we'll try and finish up a little bit early if we can. So just be aware that if you've got a bonus to share, to make sure you leap in and share with John. Thanks again, and I'll open up the meeting for sharing.
Thank you for your share, John. I got so much from that. You remind me so much of myself. Seeing a man get beaten, myself get beaten by my dad. He'd rather be the bell, the bamboo, or the slipper, because we was trying to protect my mum when we was young children, so we'd even get it more, and my mum would even get it more. The prison thing, yeah. The drinking thing, getting drunk, constantly fighting. Yeah, the share was fantastic. It's the best one I've had since being in rehab, and I've been in rehab just over 4 months. I'm due to get out next month. And if there's any other people out there, men, if I can take your number after this, but your share was 1 in a million. Literally, 1 in a million. Thank you for that. Thank you, John.
Thanks for sharing.
Hi, my name's Chloe and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi guys, thank you so much for taking the meeting, Joe, and oh God, I love that share. It was everything that I knew it would be. It was just bloody amazing. You blow my mind with your shares, and that's why I wanted you to come and share with us tonight. God, you have had me up until 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember I said that man, he bashed me over the head with a big book, and I needed it, and I still need it today. Because the truth is, I don't know what it is with me, but I have this real resistance, and I'm not very well. I'm not very well. I come in, I get some